In today's episode of my gluten-free Disney kitchen, we are about to make one of my favorite things at Disney World, the gluten-free, allergy-friendly vegan naan bread that you can get at Sanaa, located at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge Resort. Now, if you know me and you read my blog, you know that Sanaa is hands down one of my favorite restaurants on property. So I'm super stoked to be able to make this at home. I'm actually even more stoked that I can get this at that restaurant. The chefs there are amazing and they've done a great job at making sure that their bread service has a gluten-free bread option that's more than just chips, like lentil chips or falafel chips, which is what they served in the past. So we're gonna dig into some gluten-free vegan naan here today at home in my gluten-free Disney kitchen. And the first thing that we're going to do is we actually have to have a great base, and that base is Cup for Cup's wholesome flour. This is actually what Disney uses for the gluten-free and vegan naan bread, and the folks at Cup for Cup were awesome enough to send me a package of this so that I could make this at home for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started as we get ready to make our gluten-free, allergy-friendly vegan naan from Sanaa. And just a couple of quick tips before we get started. First off, the recipe does have ounces instead of cups or tablespoons, so get thee a kitchen scale because I have been trying to convert all of that. Luckily, I have a chef brother who's been helping me out making those conversions, but get a kitchen scale. It will save you a world of time to be able to make this accurately. I'm going to give you some of the ways that I did it in the recipe as well as the original version, but know that this is sort of a guesstimate as opposed to a 100% accurate way of making the naan. So make sure you get yourself a kitchen scale because that is really critical in this recipe. And the other thing is make sure you actually use the Cup for Cup wholesome flour blend. There are of course lots of different varieties of Cup for Cup. Don't use the other versions. This is what Disney uses, and this is going to give you the best results. So make sure you use this particular one. So now that we've got a few tips under our belt, let's go ahead, get to mixing, and get this naan bread underway. So now it's time to go ahead and mix together our gluten-free, allergy-friendly vegan naan. It's pretty easy actually. The first thing we want, of course, is a large mixing bowl. You're going to want that there. According to the recipe, the first thing you're going to want to do is put in coconut milk. Now, I used this particular brand here because this is actually what the recipe calls for, and I found it at a local Orlando Indian specialty grocery store. But of course, if you can't get this particular brand, you can use any kind you would like of coconut milk that's gluten-free. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We've got about 4.2 ounces. So we'll go ahead and put that in as our base. Easy enough there. And we're going to get an extra spoon to make sure we get all of that extra goodness of the coconut milk so we have the full amount in here. And the one thing I did notice about this particular brand is it seemed like it was a little bit thicker, so maybe that's one reason that the Disney chefs use it, is because it does have more of a creamy texture. So we've got that as our base. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the remainder of our dry ingredients, which is very simple. First things first, we've got some sugar. I will go ahead and put those measurements on the screen here. Again, I converted these from ounces to tablespoons. We also have some cream of tartar, so these are going to go into the pool. Right in there. We're going to mix those all in just a few minutes. The other ingredient is going to be active dry yeast, and really I just use one packet of this. Make sure when you're using the yeast though that you don't use the rapid rise, just use regular active dry yeast. Otherwise the results could be a little varied. And then the last ingredient we have here before we add in water is going to be our Cup for Cup wholesome flour. Now I used about 3 cups of this. Again, I will put the ounce measurement on the screen for you and in the recipe on the blog. So we're just going to go ahead and put that in here. And again, as a reminder, make sure you're using the wholesome flour blend, not the other blend of Cup for Cup. And then before we go ahead and mix all of this with our mixer, we're gonna go ahead and put in just some water that's been warmed to about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'll go ahead and put that in there. Another pro tip, if you have a kitchen thermometer for meat and other items like bread, it's a lifesaver, so make sure you grab that as well. Now, if you have a KitchenAid mixer, all of that should go in there. You can mix that with a bread hook, but we're gonna use just a regular stand mixer because that's what I have. And in just a few minutes, we'll have our dough ready for our gluten-free and vegan naan. So now that our dough has been mixed, you can see, and you probably noticed as I was mixing that the dough actually started sort of lifting from the sides and coming together in a ball form. So I have this nice little ball shape. So the next thing we're gonna do is actually start to make our little individual naan. So you wanna make just round 8, about 3-ounce little balls here. So I'm just gonna eyeball this, and we're just gonna set these on a plate because we're actually gonna begin to roll these out. And again, we want to have about 8 of these. So let's get to rolling. So now that we've made our 8 individual balls for our vegan naan and gluten-free naan, we're going to actually take some of the cup for cup and we're going to spread this out on any sort of clean, flat surface. I'm just using a nice cutting board so I can make it a little less messy. And all we're going to do is take one of our balls right here in the middle, top it a little bit off with just a little bit more of that wholesome cup for cup flour blend, and then we're going to roll this out into a little non-bread shaped dough. You can do this with a rolling pin. I'm actually showing you a kitchen hack. I'm going to be using just a glass, and I'm just going to be rolling it out that way. So this is kind of a nice way to do this if you don't actually have a rolling pin. And it looks like we already need to add a little bit more flour. Should add a little bit more to that dough because it is a little sticky. Again, you want to make sure, and you could also flour this as well if you wanted to. Just stick that right back in here. And basically we want about 1/4 of an inch thick kind of dough. Or as I like to eyeball it, just make sure that it's not too thin and not too thick. Remembering that we're going to be cooking this. I'm trying to put this into sort of a round shape so that it does look like that traditional naan. Looks pretty good to me. So again, you can see, hey, it doesn't look super pretty, but it's going to taste pretty amazing. So I'm pretty happy with that. But again, if you're a little bit more particular and you want it to look a certain way, just basically as long as it's a little round, we're good. So we're going to take this and we're going to actually put this on a cookie sheet. Now what you can do is if you have a stone, a kitchen stone, I would recommend using that. What we did in between making the dough was we preheated the oven to 500 degrees, and so we're going to either put that on our cookie sheet, or again, if you had a kitchen stone, you could put that kitchen stone in the oven ahead of time and get it nice and hot and crispy. We're going to take this and put this up on our cookie sheet and get ready to go make that. So as we go ahead, we're going to go ahead and repeat this process with the rest of our balls. So you can see we've got a couple of pieces of our naan on a cookie sheet. Again, you can see this is a very well-loved cookie sheet. I always say your cookie sheet should look nice and aged by the time you're using these things. So what we're going to do is put this in the oven, and then we're going to cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then once that's done, we're going to top it with some delicious non-dairy delicious awesomeness. So we're going to put this in, and when we come back, we will have some amazing naan. Okay, so our naan bread is done. It's piping hot. I cannot wait to show you this. Look at this amazingness. Oh, and also check it out. I feel very much like I'm at Sanaa because I got this awesome board at IKEA for very cheap, and now I can make my own bread service at home. So the very last step to making this awesome is just adding a little bit of melted, I used a non-dairy vegan buttery spread with a little bit of garlic powder in it, but you could use butter, whatever you prefer, again, according to your special dietary need. So we're just gonna put a little bit on that, just to make it nice and coated and melty. This is what they do actually at Sanaa, which is pretty amazing. So we'll just put a little bit more on there. I like a lot, so I'm gonna put a lot on here. And look at the ooey gooiness. And Now the next cool thing is you can also recreate some of the dipping sauces and chutneys that they make at Sanaa at home, and I'm going to be doing that in another episode of my gluten-free Disney kitchen, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's stick into our naan bread because it looks amazing. Win! Oh, I'm making this again. Oh yeah, this bread service recreation with all the dipping sauces and this naan are going down in my gluten-free Disney kitchen because this is awesome. Huge thanks to our friends at Cup for Cup for sponsoring this episode and providing us with our wholesome flour blend for our gluten-free, allergy-friendly vegan naan from Sanaa. So from my gluten-free Disney kitchen, stay tuned for more recipes. Of course, if you like this and other kinds of videos, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and if you make this at home, let me know, show me pictures, tweet me at GFDF_WDW to share all the amazing stuff that you make from my gluten-free Disney kitchen. So I'm gonna dig back into this, make some more naan, and spend an entire night just downing this because it's amazing. Again, for my gluten-free Disney kitchen, we'll see you real soon.